today is the kickoff for Unity in the Community. And this is an ongoing initiative to build better relations between our police officers, our residents, and elected officials, and basically bring the community together. This was really started by Megan Murphy, who's the co-owner of Capital City Cheesecake. I came into Capital City one day to get my coffee, and she asked me what we were doing as a community to really build relationships and address the issues that are going around the country regarding police-community relations. So we talked. We brought Captain Collington in from the police department and talked some more and decided that one of the first steps was really getting to know each other better and building better relations.
The mayor asked me what was the takeaway that I got from the National Night Out event. And I told her, just looking across the field, I just saw a lot of unity in the community. And then that's where we coined this, unity in the community. So this is how the name came about.
It's really important that if we're going to create change, that we have to strengthen our relationships. And you only do that when you come out of your house, you walk up to somebody and you introduce yourself. So tonight it's all about us coming out of our comfort zones and just saying, I'm your community member, I'm your neighbor, I'm a business owner, and start that conversation.
We have this relationship with the public every day. This isn't something that we just put on a show for during troubled times. We host events like these all throughout the year. You see it on 4th of July, different festivals that we hold up here in the city, and just to really bring this to light, to show that events like this happen not only here in Takoma Park all the time, but all across the country.
I'm trying to show my children that when you want to create change, you can't wait for others to create it for you. And so we've had so many conversations about what to do, how to do it, and I was like, you know what, I'm a mom of 3 sons, and I need to come out and just do it. Enough talking, we have to do action. So to me, it's really important for them to see this and see that we're very powerful as community members and we can use our voice in that way.
Today I've met probably about 5 officers so far. Got to talk a little bit about, like the Redskins game today, stuff like that. And it's just being able to be comfortable around, everybody at the same time. It's cool.
The citizens in the community all want trust in the police department. They want accountability, things like that. So we wanted to get out and start this initiative to start dialoguing so that the community knows the police department and the police department knows the community.
Together, we can accomplish more than we can accomplish as one person, like by ourselves, because seeing what's going on right now, I see lots of people conversing, lots of people doing what they want to do, what they enjoy, and lots of kids just having fun.
We need to talk, we need to communicate, show that our police force is with us and for us, and that we need to talk about the issues that are happening all around the United States, and hopefully we can come up with positive initiatives to make this thing happen and have this cordial relationship with the community, the police department, elderly, children, and let us all come together.
One of the biggest challenges that we face in the city is taking the idea of inclusiveness, which I think all residents talk about, and making it a reality. And so I think that's a long-term challenge, but I think something like this that helps set in motion some efforts to get us more along those lines, I think is a plus. So I'm happy to be here.
With what's happening in the country, you got to start the conversation somewhere, right? And this community unity event is just that. We got to continue the dialogue. We got to get to the root of what these problems are. Why are we having such disastrous interactions between police officers and Black and brown people in this country? And how do we stop it? How do we change this dynamic?
I've been watching terrible things happen to the police and to the civilian in the United States of America, and throughout the world there are so many bad things happening. So I thought that if the community and the police can get together and exchange and get to know each other, maybe they will love each other and don't kill each other anymore.
A very small number of unfortunate events are unfortunately covering up all the positive events and interactions that the police have with their citizens on a daily basis. So coming out here, like I said, it really brings to light the positive relationship that we not only as the Takoma Park Police have, but that all of law enforcement has all across the state and the country.
we all have to work together because we couldn't do what we do if we didn't have the community. You know, we have to work together. This is what we're trying to really drive home, that we all won.
Takoma Park is actually here for all of the youth. So I think that's very, like, for me, seeing all these people, meeting new people is great.
This event is very important. I think we should have more of this type of event because you cannot know your neighbor in one event. You need to multiply this type of event, and I'm ready to give up my space for just to do that.
We have this opportunity to come together and to start having conversations that frankly are, have been needed for 400 years, but now we're having the conversations, and so we're excited about this as a kickoff and really hoping that it becomes the beginning of a conversation that can lead to healing.
To have the kind of police force we have in this community that responds, that participates in community events, certainly Police Night Out in August is a fantastic event.
Well, number one, especially for the minorities, to just get to know the police. Not all of them are bad. There are a lot of good ones out there, and so just to come out here and know them, and the police could know them. So, like, let's say hypothetically they pull them over or see them on the street. They're like, well, I know this kid. He was in the Unity for the Community, and he's a good kid. So there's not a prejudgment against them. Think, oh, they're all bad kids, and in that way, kids don't think they're all bad cops.
It brings the barrier between the police and the community, and it's just a good reminder that we're one community living here all together. And I used to live across the street like a couple of years ago, and I always passed by the police station, but I never had like real interaction like this until today. So it's very nice to be around and be part of the community.
We're networking here. We're meeting each other here. I've seen a bunch of friends and I've made some new friends. So that's what it's about. Networking, knowing people, working together to solve problems instead of against each other to solve problems.
Follow-up is going to be the most important part of this whole dialogue, right? What do we do next? And how, as council, how, as the government, how do we help, right? How do we make sure that the community talks about these things, right? Whether it's racism, whether it's police brutality, we need these real conversations to happen so that people can understand what is going on.
This is a kickoff party and it's a celebration, but there's already real work happening with me, Captain Collington, with Mayor Kate Stewart, with we have principals here tonight. We have Principal Renee Johnson, Principal Dini. There are some principals that I've met with, like Principal Savoy of Don Bosco, that can't be here. But we have actually had meetings, face-to-face meetings with these principals, and we're trying to create the relationships within the school. We're trying to give kids a positive opportunity to interact with officers outside the law enforcement arena. We are blessed that we live in a community where we haven't had like huge headlines like other communities had. But why wait for a headline? And then we're trying to pool all our resources when we can come together now and be proactive and make sure that our kids are safe, that all community members feel like their civil liberties are protected, and then make sure that our officers feel supported.
We all have to work together because we couldn't do what we do if we didn't have the community. We have to work together. This is what we're trying to really drive home, that we all won. It doesn't matter what side of the city you live on, doesn't matter what your background is. We all are citizens and residents and employees of the city of Takoma Park.
I started to paint from the time I was a very little girl, It runs in my family. My aunts and cousins all paint, so I could draw from the time I was little, and I always painted and drew. I lived in the Caribbean for 22 years, so a lot of my work is very tropical, and I loved carnival. I love colors, I love the party, I love the blue sky in the Caribbean and the flora and the seascapes, so I did a lot of that. And coming back to DC, I usually do what's around me, so I did a lot of DC scenes and florals. I like to do florals. I like to do pretty things. I do it because I enjoy it. I love it. I really absolutely am very happy when I'm painting. That's why I paint pretty, happy things. I don't do political stuff. I don't do dark things. I'm not trying to make a statement. I just like it to be pretty and nice.
Well, all my life, even as a little child, I would make things, and I was fortunate enough to have parents that let me have all the paper and crayons and scissors that I wanted. So I was always making things. But it was finally when my children went back to school, my youngest one was in school, that I went back to school myself to get I thought a commercial art degree, but then I fell in love with working with metals and vitreous enamel, which is a glass. And that's when I started doing shows and exhibits, fine art fairs. The ideas are in there, they just have to come out and they need to be expressed. So the work in the exhibit actually follows a theme. The first couple pieces are based on music that I've heard at Strathmore Hall. One is Vivaldi's Four Seasons, and the other is Piazzolla's Four Seasons of Argentina. I was trying to express the idea that we get to enjoy four seasons in our lives every year. We're lucky, they're beautiful. But then as we go through the journey of life, sometimes those journeys aren't always in a straight line, and we kind of forget some things that are important. We wind up going in circles, so we need to focus. And we need to remember that procrastination is the thief of time, and we need to discover or relearn that there is a relationship, a special relationship between peoples and between our relationship with the earth and the water and the sky. And we've got to be aware that there's a gathering storm out there. And if we do not become guardians of our environment and remember to take care of those things in our relationships, then we won't continue to enjoy those beautiful four seasons every year of our life. We'll lose them. There's certain things that are common to all people. We respond to similar things no matter what our cultural upbringing is. It's amazing when you start reading some things about different cultures. There are different things that are important. There's certain things that are just there, and they may be expressed slightly differently, but they're important to people. And I'd like people to look at the work and be moved. And they may see some things in it that are different than what I see as I'm making it, but that's all right. As long as they feel something and are moved by it, that's what I want to accomplish, and that's why I work. One thing I like with working with vitreous enamels is there are so many different techniques. I'm constantly experimenting. I'm never bored with what I'm doing. I like to take classes and learn new things in other arts areas as well, because I find I can bring them to what I'm doing. So I feel like you never stop learning in life, and there's just more things that you want to do. I don't think I'll ever get bored, and just learn new things all the time. It's important.
I started making quilts when I was in my early 20s, and I started doing quilts as art in about 1985. And I saw a painting in the National Gallery of Art that was concentric squares of color by Frank Stella in the East Wing Gallery, and it completely changed how I thought about my work as a quilt maker. I thought, if he can paint that and it's art, and I can sew that, then there's no reason that I can't make art also. In 1 minute, completely changed my idea. The quilts behind me are in my kolam series. It's South Indian tradition of drawing on the ground each morning as a contemplative practice. Women do it to start the day, to beautify their home, to center themselves. I saw those drawings when I was in India, came back and started making quilts using that design tradition. So I've been making kolam quilts since 2008, so 8 years now, and I just keep making them, and they hang in the exhibits and people buy them, and I make more of them, and I use a standard format, so all of them that I still own look nice together, and then when someone buys one, then it goes to their house, and I just make another one, and it fits in with the series. The hanging pieces are 3 double-sided quilt panels. They're 25 inches wide, 80 inches long, and they honor the different influences on my work as a quilt artist. They're a project that's supported by funding from the Montgomery County Council for the Arts and Humanities. Thank you very much, Creative MoCo. And there is a descriptive brochure floating around in the gallery to read more in detail about the different pieces. Art is another way of expressing the important things in life. My art is very mathematical. Mathematics is another way of expressing the universe. So I hope that viewers of my work will have a conversation with it. If the viewer looks at it and thinks about something in a bigger way, then that's art.
I started to paint probably before I was 1, because I used to sit on my mom's lap and I would just like add to her paintings while she was doing like her work. So like that's why she says like a lot of her paintings from like when I was really young all have like some kind of touch that I made on it. But I guess like my own stuff like I started doing in middle school and high school. I usually like black and white drawings. I do a lot of really detailed work. This is like one of them that happened to be a kolam piece, but I do a lot of line drawings and like very abstract work. Kolam is this kind of design where it has like the dots and then the lines weaving around it. And so the traditional form is mostly presented in India. Housewives and like mothers and people would wake up in the morning and they would go outside of their houses, and in front of their door they would use like rice powder and like make these designs by hand. And then throughout the day like people will step on them and like ants will eat the rice powder, and by the end of the day like it'll just be like kind of messed up, and then they'll wash it and they'll do it again the next day. And it's like some of them can be really, really intricate. Like most of the ones here are very simple, but there can be like giant ones and they can take hours to do. But the entire point is that you do it and you put the time into it, and then it like passes and then you do another one. So it's like there's a sense of like non-attachment to it. I've had art mostly as like a hobby and a pastime. So I want to keep going with that. I want to be able to show my work in different places, develop my own style, because a lot of what I do is influenced by my mother. So kind of like work my own things into it.
I just always liked drawing. It was the one thing I've always done. I still do it now. It's the one thing I've stuck to for nearly 12 years. It's always been fun, kind of catharsis for me. It's nice to like, it's cultural, it's like something I grew up with my family in India, here with my art teacher, everything. They've taught me this repetitively, and I like doing the basic, adding a twist to it, adding color, making it something of my own.
I guess it started when I was about 5 years old and I started coming to my teacher for lessons. It started off, with simple things that you do when you're younger, just like learning how to draw anything from like flowers to birds. But as I got older, I got more into cultural art forms that I've been exposed to since I was younger because of my family's heritage. I find the simplicity of kolams, the fact that you can make something so complex out of just dots and lines into pieces, objects like chariots and cradles, name it. You can make anything out of them, out of just dots and lines. That's what drew me. Plus, growing up and going to India, I would see my grandparents and my aunts all putting kolams with the traditional rice flour on the ground every morning when they woke up. In terms of art, I would say right now I've really got, the foundations down. I can draw my lines and my dots when making my kolams. Now my teacher Shanti Auntie is telling me that the next step is personalizing them. You can draw kolams, but you have to make them your own. How do you add that flavor, whether it's color, design? You have to make it a product of your own imagination and not just what you see on the paper.
We're here in Takoma-Langley, officially Langley Park, for a Diwali festival. We're having a Takoma-Langley bi-county Diwali festival celebrating the Hindu Festival of Light, which is a big event which celebrates the triumph of goodness over evil, light over darkness, and knowledge over ignorance.
And Diwali is a very big festival for Hindus. The way the Christians have Christmas, the same way the Hindus have Diwali festival. And Diwali festival is celebrated for the victory of good over the evil.
मातु पिता तुम मेरे शरण कहूँ किसकी
स्वामी शरण कहो मैं किसकी
तुम बिन और न दूजा प्रभु बिन
और न कोई.
We're very happy to be sharing the festival this year and having Prince George's County host it. It's the second annual Diwali festival. Last year we had the first one in Takoma Park, and we're so glad to be here in Prince George's County today.
This year we had 2 Hindu temples planning the program, two of the largest Hindu temples in the region, and I think that the program will be even more rich and diverse. Many of the performers are children and youth who are involved in different schools of dance. So you're going to see many different dance styles here today that represent different parts of India and so forth.
We want to work closely together to bring the community together so that we're working on improving the area a great deal. And so that's why having events like this, when one year it's in Prince George's and the other year it's in Takoma Park, is very important to building those relationships.
I just wanted to make sure that given that my district is lies on the border of Montgomery County and Prince George's County, I wanted to create that shared community between both counties. And so, every year we want to be able to do at least an event that we can do one, on one side of the county and the next year on the other side of the county to create that shared community. And so this is one of those events that we want to be able to really do.
We have a great relationship with Prince George's County. I personally have a great relationship with Councilmember Denny Taveras, who represents this area, and my area is right across the street. And frankly, I think we need more partnerships. Residents and businesses, they don't know that's one county and this is another one on the other side of the street. They just shop and they live and often they don't know who to call for various services. We need to be partnering more to make sure we get everything we need.
It's a critical relationship. These county boundaries are imaginary lines. I mean, this is one community. And so whether you're on Takoma Park or Langley Park, you're really experiencing sort of the diversity that spans across our county border. So that cross-border cooperation is important for economic development and jobs, public safety, the environment, transportation in particular. All of these are issues that both, regardless of which side of the border you're on, between the two counties, they're the same issues.
Well, the importance is that to bring the people all together here, and it is because since I am a president of the Tacoma Development Authority, my effort is to bring more people to the area of Takoma Park so our business can grow. That is our main effort. And secondly, I want to bring the Hindu community as well as other communities to the Mela so that we can talk to each other, get friendly with each other.
I grew up in Washington. But I like all the communities to come together and make it a more diverse place.
This is really just one neighborhood. The Crossroads area is a vital economic business neighborhood, and the businesses here are doing really well and serving so many different kinds of people from around the world who live in this area and make it so exciting.
तेरे नखरे उठाऊं सनम मुझको तेरी कसम टांग दूं चांद को तेरी खिड़की पे मैं ताक दूं चांद को तेरी कुर्सी पे मैं अरे जो भी मैं कहूँ तुझे लगता है क्यों गलत The people do not know about the Diwali, what the meaning of Diwali, and how to celebrate. So they demonstrate to other community, to other country people how to celebrate Diwali at actual. So they demonstrate.
where else are you going to encounter this culture if you're not already a part of it, right? So, having these kind of community events allows for other folks who may not be familiar with the Diwali culture to come and learn about it and experience it. And we need to do that for the various cultures we have in this area, both in Prince George's and Montgomery counties, but all throughout this region. We're blessed to live amongst so many different kind of folks we can learn from. We need to take advantage of that. It's what makes us stronger. We're stronger together.
Many times people are trying to divide us rather than bring us together. And I think even more so than at other times right now, we need to be coming together on special days like today to show that we're stronger together when we put aside differences and really celebrate our diversity. So that's what today's about.
I think it's enormously important in making people feel welcome, making people feel a sense of pride, making people who don't know about Diwali feel like they can come here and learn about a community and a tradition and learn a cultural history that they weren't aware of. And that's fantastic. That's what makes people move to Montgomery and Prince George's County and makes businesses move here as well.
I think it adds awareness. It adds awareness that this community exists, that this community is here, that it is part of our society here, and it's just it's a opportunity to just share our values, our way of living, and just educate folks as to what's going on, and I think this is just a great opportunity for us to be able to learn from each other.
So we're bringing the world to this region, bringing the world to Prince George's County, bringing the world to Montgomery County, bringing the world to this region and all of the various cultures, the diversity. This is what we should celebrate. I know there's a lot of stuff floating around trying to divide us. This is the opposite. This is celebrating our diversity, and in that there is unity.